Hi, in this video, I want to go over some Google Meet updates and things to know about setting things up in case we need to go into remote learning or you need to teach from home at any point. So this is going to be an overview of some things that are new to Google Meet, as well as some suggestions for just getting up, running, and started. So let's go over to the Google Meet screen here. And so one thing to know is that all these Google Meet links that you create will be good for a year. So that does make things a little bit easier than it was in the past. So you really can use this option to create a meeting for later and just get this link here. That would be your link. The only thing is it's not really saved anywhere. So you would just need to save this link to be able to reuse it. You can post it on your learning management system page. If that's easiest for you, go for it. That will work. That link will be good for a year. I personally really like the option to schedule in Google Calendar, and then my meeting link is just available there. So what I might do is, you don't need to schedule it for the full year. There's really not the need to do that. You can just post your Meet link on your course page and that will be it. So it won't be available to students in the same way that it was if you created it on the calendar, but it's really not necessary to schedule all your blocks for the day. We're just recommending, go ahead, you can create one link. So say that I have my Roshan A block Google Meet link. Make it a good name so that you can search it again if you need to. This is going to be your Google Meet link. So that is what you can copy this link and post it on your course page so that students know where to go every day. They're going to use the same exact link. You don't need to invite guests or anything like that. You're just really creating the link so that you can post it on your class page. That would be it. You would just press save from here. And then when you want to find this again, you can just click on it to get your Google Meet link. You can always search for it also. So you could search whatever you had named it if you need to access it through your calendar. All right, so hopefully you understand the setup. That's going to be your setup for creating your Google Meet. After that, all right, we're in Google Meet now. Okay, so some differences are that all the controls are now on the bottom here. So you still have your mute your microphone, turn off your camera, closed captioning. Remember, if you turn on closed captioning, that only turns it on for you. It doesn't turn it on for students. So it might be something you want to go over with your class if closed captioning could help your students. There is the hand raising feature here. So you can raise your hand. Students can raise their hand, and I'll show you how you monitor who's raising their hand in a moment. The screen share button is different. So it's this present now, and that's where you get the option to present your entire screen, a window, or a tab. Remember, you really want to use a tab if you are showing any type of video. A tab would only show the one tab. So let me just do it right now, just as a reminder. You choose the tab that you want to show. Let me show my calendar for a second. So you can see now it says that I'm sharing this tab. If I move back over here, it will tell me that I'm sharing the other tab, and I can see that I'm sharing that other tab. This is another difference what the share screen looks like. Talk about that in one moment. If you want to change the tab that you're on and you're on the share tab, let's go over here, another tab that I could possibly share. You'll see that it says, right now, I'm sharing the Google Calendar tab, but do I want to share this tab instead? And then I can change that. So that's if you want to share only one tab at a time. In general, I just usually, let me stop presenting for a moment. I usually recommend just sharing a window and then choosing, if you have multiple windows open, just share the window that you want to be sharing. And then you can easily switch between tabs, and it would be sharing anything that you see within this window. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. Again, the tab option, if you are sharing any audio or video, is highly recommended. Now, this show everyone is where you're going to have controls for monitoring your class. So there is a way to now mute everybody, which is very helpful. If you need to add anybody on a one-off, you can email them right there and you can just add their email and invite them. Host controls would allow you to prevent people from sharing their screen. If you're having any problems with students trying to share their screen, you can turn that off. You can turn off chat messages. You can disable the ability for people to turn on their video or mic, which I don't really think that you'll ever need that in teaching, but just sharing that those are all available in the host controls right there. Let me add another student so that I can show you more. Okay, on the left side is obviously me. On the right side, I am now signed in as a student. So if the student uses that same join link that you had given them, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off my camera on this side and join. So this is the student view on the right, and then my teacher view is on the left. You'll see on the student end that they are tiny and they're not a tile. We have different views right now. That's the reason for that. So to change that, you can always hover over and say that like you want to show yourself in the tile. If on the teacher end you don't want to see yourself, you just want to focus on your students, you can remove this tile so that you're not big. Again, that's not going to affect what your students see. It just will maximize room for everybody else. You might want to see yourself so that you know what you look like to your students. So that's fine to keep on. You just toggle it right there. Now, pinning yourself to the main screen, that again is not going to affect anything for your students. That just pins you so that you're always big. You might want to pin a specific student to keep attention on them just for you so that you can focus on a conversation with them. So that's how you would use pinning. You can just pin and unpin. Again, that only affects your view, not the student's view. If you need to kick anybody out for any reason, you can remove them from the call right here, or you can go ahead and click on the people panel and you would also have the option to remove them from the call if you need to. A new ability is to add a co-host. Adding a co-host would be maybe somebody like another teacher if you need a co-teacher in your class, and that would give them the ability to do things like breakout groups. So in general, you're not going to ever need to add a student as a co-host that I can think of right now at least, but if you have like a co-teacher, another person visiting your class, maybe a guest speaker, you might add them as a co-host. So that's again new. Right now, you'll see that everybody is muted. You cannot unmute somebody else, but you can mute them. So let me unmute this student for a second. I can individually mute them by just going here onto the little sound icon and then mute them. The other thing, if I want to just mute everybody, just press the mute all button and everybody is muted. Let's quickly look at what hand raising looks like. So if the student raises their hand right here, you can hear the little ding that did pop up, and I can see on the tile that student 1 is raising their hand. I can also see on the panel, if I have, again, I have to have that people panel open, and I can see who has raised their hand right here. If I have multiple students who have raised their hand like this, you will see in the people panel who has raised their hand first to last. So it does track order of who's raised their hand, and from this panel here you can also lower their hand after they've asked their question. So students can unraise their hand like this, they can raise their hand again, and then you can also lower their hand just like that after you've answered their question so that it doesn't show up anymore. Let's get into some more fun features with these activities. So you'll see that students also have that panel that they can bring, but like if they wanted to create a breakout room, they don't have the ability to do that. They're a student. Only the host and the co-host would have the ability to actually start things. So if you want to choose breakout rooms, you can set up breakout rooms. You can choose how many rooms you want, and it will put people equally in each of the rooms, just like that. You can randomly shuffle them here. I can't do it right now because I only have one student, but that would allow you to reassign. That's what shuffle is. Clear would allow you to kind of start over again. It would put everybody in the main call, and then you could just drag and manually assign people to the different rooms if you would like to do that. You can also set a timer for you want to end the breakout rooms. Say you want to end that in 10 minutes, and automatically after 10 minutes, that would bring everybody back. When you open the rooms, you'll see that the student then needs to join the room. I can see right now that everybody's in the main room. As soon as a student actually joins the room, you'll see that they are green because they are in that room. They are present in that breakout room too. If I want to go, I'm in the main call still at this point, you can see. If I want to go and see what student 1 is up to in this breakout room, I can join them. And now you can see we're both in breakout room 2. I can leave that breakout room if I want to go back into the main call. That leaves the student in their breakout room. I am back in the main call, and then I could go back and join breakout group 1 if I wanted to. When the 10 minutes are up, it would automatically close the rooms, but I can also, if I need to call everybody back at any point, I can do that by closing the rooms. Before I close the rooms, I just want to show you that students do have the ability to ask for help or return to the main call from their breakout room. So if I ask for help, you can see on the teacher end that it says breakout room 2 asked for help. And you can also see that that message stays visible in this breakout room 2. So I can see that. I can go over and I can join that room to help them out. If the student doesn't need your help anymore, they can cancel. You do want to help students understand that when they're in the breakout room, if they need help, they should ask for help up here and not just raise their hand, because you don't really see that hand raised as the teacher just from this main screen. So that is something that's important to train students. Ask for help right here. Let me go ahead and close all the rooms. And so it says to the student that they have 30 seconds. When the timer expires, they'll automatically move to the main room and their mic and their camera will be turned off. So that's also a new feature that forces everybody at the end of this time to come back. It turns off their mic and their camera just in case maybe they were away from their computer, because that just happens automatically. So let's let it happen automatically. At this point, they're back in the main room. They can see that. They just press got it. If they were returned automatically like that, they would have to turn on their mic and their camera again. If though, let me just turn on my camera, you had closed the rooms and they returned to the main call and actually pressed the button physically, then their camera is going to remain on. So you don't have to worry too much about that. They should press the button and you wouldn't have to worry about them toggling that camera on or off. Just want to make sure that I explained that fully. Okay, now let's talk about other features here. So there's also polling. You can do a quick poll. You can start it right here. Launch that. Students will see it, but they do have to, so you have to train them to go into the little icon here and they'll see the little blue on the polls because they've been asked the poll question and they can answer. And as soon as they press the vote button, you would be able to see what's happening if you press the toggle on. So see everybody's responses. You can wait until the end to toggle it on. So turn that on so we can see what's happening. You can create new polls as you would like. If you're done with this poll, you can delete it. Let's go back, the Q&A. If you want to ask a specific question, you can turn on that Q&A. I usually use a chat, so I don't have that much experience with this Q&A. Gonna go back. This is how you record. I probably should have started with this because you want to record your meeting from the beginning. You would just press start recording. And then, yes, we have permission to record our meets. So you can go ahead and press start. Your students will see that this is being recorded and all this will be saved in your Google Drive automatically. There's nothing more that you really need to do. I'll show you that at the end. Whiteboarding is just if you want to start a little collaborative whiteboard, you can just go ahead and start that. It would automatically share it with anybody who's in your call. Go ahead and press send. And then your students will see a little message that a board has been shared with them and they can find that it would just be in their chat messages right here. They can open it up and then you can write on the Jamboard together and it's a collaborative board if you need a whiteboard space. All right, I think I went through all of the things. This file is also saved with your Meet so that everybody can access it after the fact. The last thing is these host controls. Again, I kind of went over some of this before. I didn't go over the quick access. Just leave the quick access. I would recommend just leaving it on all of the time for our teaching purposes so that anybody can easily join that. Don't think I need to go into any more of those controls. I think I've probably talked enough. Hopefully this was a rather easy to follow quick overview of all the new settings and the changes. Last thing that's actually super important is the screen share, because that has changed a little bit and you have more control over seeing more students now, which was a big problem before. Now it's much better. So let's go ahead and say that I share a tab. You can see for students that it is optimized automatically, that screen share, so that they can focus on that, which is probably what they're going to want. They do have the ability to unpin it if they need to see more of their classmates, if you're having a discussion, but it usually stays pinned. Now for you as the teacher, you might want to unpin it so that you can keep the focus on your students. My recommendation here would just be to have 2 windows open. I'll show you how that works in a moment, because I'm going to pop out of the student view when I show you that. But again, so automatically it's going to show you what you're presenting to students, and it's going to pin that. So that's like front and center. But I know a lot of people want to focus on their students. So what you can do now is you can unpin to make it a small tile. Just don't remove yourself, okay? Unpin. But this is a huge upgrade, because you might remember that before you were just seeing like a blank screen, that you were sharing your screen, but you didn't know what you were actually sharing. Now we can see. So I'm going to go ahead and take the focus off of student 1 and instead just show you how I would present my screen and how I would set things up. So let me stop presenting. What I would recommend is this. I would have my Google Meet opened in one window, and then I would open a new window, not a new tab, but a new window entirely. So over here, maybe I would kind of put them and split my screen a little bit. Maybe I'm going to make this only a smaller portion of the screen, and then this half here, a bigger portion of the screen. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be doing a screen share of. So I personally like to then go over here, do present now, present a window, and I would just choose that window right there. So now I can see my class, and I can also be sharing something right here. So I'm going to actually ignore this warning, because for what I'm doing, it doesn't pertain to me. So I'm going to ignore it. So again, now I can see myself. If I don't want to see myself so big, I can remove this tile, focusing more on the student, and I can unpin the presentation, and that would give you the ability to see more students at a time with the 2 windows opened. The last thing that I want to show is if you're presenting Google Slides, which I know people do often, and you're presenting that and you still want students to be able to see it. If you press the slideshow button, it goes into full screen, and now you can't see your students anymore, which defeats the purpose of what we were just talking about. One thing that you can do instead is click on this down arrow right here and just do presenter view. That will pop open like these little notes to yourself and all that. You can close that out, but now you can see that this is in a presentation mode where you can go through, but it keeps it in the slide instead of popping you out to full screen. So that can be pretty helpful so that you can still see things in that side-by-side view. When you're all done, you can press the escape key, or you can go over to these 3 dots right here and press stop presenting, which it shows you that that's the escape key also. That is how I would recommend doing a side-by-side view if you're doing Google Slides. Again, go over here and just use presenter view. When that little dialog pops up, you don't need to worry about that. All that you're presenting is this one window, because that's what we had chosen before. When you're done sharing, you can press stop presenting. So that is going to be it. When you're all done recording, if you end your session, the recording will automatically end. But if you want to end your recording before class ends, just go back into recording and you can press stop recording. You'll see here that it says the recording will be saved in my Google Drive. And when it's saved, it will also email me. So I'll get a link to that recording that you can then share back with students, or just add it to a shared Google Drive folder for your students. Put all your Meet recordings there so that you don't need to share it individually each time. I think that is probably the easiest option to do. If you give students permission to see things in that folder once, then anything that's in there would be available to them. So just keep that in mind. If you're having a private meeting, make sure that you're not saving it to that same folder. When you're done with the meeting, you can just X out. You can also safely press this leave call button. Ending the call would get everybody off the meeting right then, so no students could be kind of lagging behind. If you need to do that, that's an option that you can now use right there. Even if you do that, your link is still going to stay good the next day, so don't worry about that. I think that's it. I can't think of anything else right now, but a little bit longer than quick. But I hope this was helpful. Bye.